Veteran journalist and writer Ashok Nilakantan Aiyer, also known as TN Ashok, has turned two profoundly wrenching tragedies caused by chronic kidney failure into an engaging fictionalized memoir titled Borrowed Time, Borrowed Hope. Ashok's first wife died in 2002 at age 46 after a prolonged and harrowing ordeal because of her chronic renal failure. Some years later, Ashok remarried, but by a cruel quirk of fate, even his second wife, Samantha, developed a kidney disease and passed away at age 59 in 2025. The aftermath of his first wife's chronic renal problems was deeply traumatic since it seriously disrupted his career as a journalist as well as caused enormous financial challenges. Much against his professional instincts and passions, Ashok joined the corporate world heading the public affairs division of a major multinational company. That also brought a different set of challenges for a former journalist. This is Ashok's fourth book, the other three being No Time to Hide in 2022, its update of the same name in the same year, and No Time to Escape in 2023. Ashok spoke to MCR from New Delhi. Welcome to Mayanksha Reports, Ashok. It's a great pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much, sir.
And many congratulations on your book, Borrowed Time, Borrowed Hope.
I'm delighted.
Your novels, I mean, it's sort of a fictionalized version of your life.
Yeah.
It's about it fictionalizes your life along with your late wife Usha's real life together in a rather compelling narrative. I read quite a bit of it, and I think it is very engaging to.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Since fiction offers creative freedom that honest biographies don't, how did you resist the challenge of not going overboard in terms of your narrating your life story via this fictionalized version?
No, I fictionalized the version for two reasons. One was because it was narrating one half of the book in my life in the corporate sector, and I had a NDA with the corporate company. It was a $23 billion French company. So I didn't want them to get upset. So it took me about 23 years to publish the book because I left that company in 2008 and I wrote the book only in 2025. I wrote the book. So that makes it about nearly 17 years after which I have written the book. So the reason is I didn't want too much of my personal life out in public. So I fictionalized the book and narrated the real life incidents and made it a little more dramatic to resonate with the people so that they understand the situation one goes through in such critical times, Yeah.
At one level, the book is about Usha or her fictional avatar, Arushi's life upended by
Yeah.
chronic renal
Yeah.
failure and your
Yeah.
tenacious battle against it. How was
Yeah.
it living it on the pages of the book?
I didn't get you.
How was reliving the whole experience again via this book?
Yeah, it wasn't emotionally not very tiring or exhausting because the actual incidents happened between 1998 to 2002. And I was writing the book 22 years later, and I got married a second time. And I lost my second wife also to the same disease. So the death of my second wife was haunting me more than the death of my first wife. I don't know if people like me to say that or not, but that's the fact. That's the hard facts. So the sadness had receded into the background, and I had found a new partner in my life. My son had got married, so it sort of receded into the background. So it wasn't very difficult to write the book. But after I wrote the book and I started reading it, I was in tears.
I see. Since you mentioned your second wife, I was going to come to that a bit later, but I might as well now. It is quite striking that even your second wife fell victim to the same renal failure problems. I personally don't know of any case where something like that can happen. It must have been absolutely devastating.
Yeah, I remember. I when I met one of my, I know him from childhood. He's a well-known film director in India. His name is Rajiv Menon.
Mhm.
So I was just dropped into his studio and I was talking to him. He said, "Ashok, I know him from his childhood." So he was saying, "Ashok, in our Malayalam myth, we have a saying that when a person is struck with the same tragedy twice, there is something wrong in his karma. I think there is something wrong in your karma in your previous janma, if you want to believe what I say." So, in my state of mind, I was inclined to believe what he said.
But that's not a very. I know it's he was your
It's not
friend and he was
rational or
being candid,
scientific,
but
but
that's not a very nice thing to say.
yeah,
Are you still friends with him?
yeah, we are very good friends.
I'm just kidding. Yeah. Describe the. I mean, it's again to elaborate a bit on having gone through twice
Yeah.
the same medical condition. I think by the second time, obviously, you were very used to the challenges that came along with it. In a sense,
Uh,
was it easier for you to deal with it the second time around?
Yeah, it was much easier for me to deal with it the second time because the first time there was no doctor in the family from the other side. So I had to take care of my wife in Delhi all alone by myself, my mother, my aging mother, and my small child who was going to school. But in the second case, what happened was my son had already gone to college and he was studying there, and I was alone with my second wife. And my second wife went on a holiday to Bangalore, where her mother and her sister lives. Her sister is head of the brain bank of NIMHANS in Bangalore, so she's a doctor herself. So
I
when they
see.
discovered that they discovered that she had renal failure, she said, "Ashok, I don't want you to go through this experience again. So you can come and visit her every month or whatever, but." What I suggest is that since I am a doctor, I'm well connected with all the hospitals here. I will be able to take care of her better than you. If it's agreeable to you, you shift her to Bangalore. I said, if you are comfortable treating her in Bangalore because of your connections with the community, medical community, I'll be too glad to bring her to Bangalore. So I brought her to Bangalore and left her there. In 2017, I left her there. 8 years we were separated, but every day, every hour, we used to text each other. We used to send jokes to each other. And then we were, for 8 years, believe it or not, almost every day or every other day, we used to be on phone talking to each other. So I did not miss her so much.
I see. I want you to take me back to the sort of the inception of this memoir, fictionalized memoir. What triggered it? I mean, it's been in the making for quite some time. So tell me a bit about that.
You want me to talk about actually what happened to her or what made me
No,
write the book?
I'm trying to get you at the inception of the book. At what point you thought you should convert that into sort of a life story, somewhat fictionalized?
It was a sudden decision after I went to the US to stay with my son in Manhattan, New York, that I found that I was not having much to do. And then till he put me on Substack and so I started writing on Substack, I had nothing much to do. Then I reflected. I had already written three well-researched books on COVID-19, which was inspired by the death of my two of my very close friends within 24 hours of each other. One is that Shillong Times special correspondent, Mr. Barua, and his wife, Meenakshi Barua, who used to work in Times of India. And we were very good friends. I used to drop into their house for coffee or tea. And then I had a huge library of films, and they used to borrow films from me. They had a young daughter. So we used to have a nice time over the weekends. And then when I found that they had been struck by COVID before the vaccines had actually rolled out, so both of them died within 24 hours of each other, and that shook me up like anything. So I said, I have never written a book. Let me write a book on the chronology of the disease COVID-19 and what each country has done, what the WHO has done, or how it broke out in China and all that. It took me about 3 volumes to finish. It took me about 6 months to write. And I got no less than a vice president of India, then Mr.
Maybe
Naidu to release the book. So it got good publicity, but it did not sell.
well, that's the story of a lot of books too. That's true. One of the themes that you list early on in your book is, as you write, love as both
Yeah,
anchor and unbearable weight.
yeah.
Uh, that's a rather telling construct. Tell me a bit more about it, since precisely because anchor has weight, it works.
Yeah, you see, I had no support. My brother, my entire family had migrated to the US. My sister had gone to the US, settled down in Texas. My brother had gone down to Michigan and settled down in Michigan. And my father had died in 1996. And then only my mother was there and my small kid was there. We were the only three of us together bonding as a family. And it was. It struck me like a lightning when I came to know that she's suffering from renal failure. Actually, we all went out for a nice magic show in one of the Indira Gandhi stadiums, and there she complained she had a blurry vision. I went to an ophthalmologist, and then he examined her and then said, Ashok, I'm not very happy. There's a lot of activity in the fundus, and I think better to get an MRI done. So I was scared. Are you suspecting a brain tumor? He said, maybe, maybe not. But what I want you to do is get an MRI done and tell me. So we got an MRI done, and then everything was clear. And I said, no tumor, nothing. This is occasion to celebrate. We went and had a nice dinner outside in a nice restaurant in Connaught Place. But then 2 days later, it hit me again. She had very high blood pressure. She could not move. It was 200 by 100. And then I rushed to the local clinic, and he put her down on the couch and then said, let me measure the blood pressure again. And the blood pressure slightly came down. And he was the first one to diagnose, my local doctor in Mayur Vihar. He said, I have a feeling that her kidneys have been damaged, and maybe it is because of high blood pressure, but then it could be reversible also. But you take an expert's opinion. And then I went to another ophthalmologist, and this is Dr. Madan Mohan, who was the vice president, was the president's physician. He was the head of AIMS ophthalmic division. So his son is a brilliant ophthalmologist and then eye surgeon. Rishi, very first spot, he said, Uncle, your wife has got kidney disease, get her kidney screened. And then we got it screened, and we found out that 30% of the right kidney had shrunk, and then they were working at 30% efficiency. So that's when the whole rigmarole started. It took me about a month to find a good doctor in Apollo hospitals to fix the treatment.
I read that whole passage, and what I found quite remarkable about the book is that it has a very matter of fact, but still very informative tone to it. I find that you have controlled your personal emotions rather well. Your narration is not very personalized, and yet it tells a deeply, profoundly personal story.
Thank you so much, sir.
No, because especially when you mentioned the magic show and subsequent blurry vision and the whole series of events, it was
Yeah.
quite cinematic to me. So I thought I should tell you that.
Let me confess with you, I wrote the book like a cinema script because I had
I can
a
see. I
fond
mean,
hope that one day it could be made into a movie.
I think it's ready for that. There is a fundamental deviation. There is a fundamental deviation between the real life of Usha and your protagonist Arushi in terms of what happens to both. I'm not going to
Yeah.
spoil for the viewers by saying what happens, but tell me how you made that literary choice without revealing what that choice is.
I don't get you. What do you mean by literary choice?
In a sense, I mean, I don't, like I said, I don't want to spoil it by revealing what the fate that Usha suffered and the fate that Arushi has. because I want the readers to get into it themselves. So, without
Yeah,
directing anything, how did you decide to give them two different perspectives, very different
Yeah,
perspectives?
I think somewhere in the introduction of the book, I have mentioned that in real life, Usha died, and then in the fictional book, I made her survive the
Now that you're
survive
revealing it,
the.
I could have asked you directly, but I thought you didn't want to reveal it.
No, no, it's already revealed. It's already revealed in the introduction of the book.
No,
So I said
people have to.
I made her live to give hope to people who are suffering from this disease that
No,
you
I
can
understand.
survive the disease.
I was thinking more in terms of readers coming and discovering themselves rather than me announcing it on the show. Anyway,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
no, that's fine. So tell me a bit
yeah.
about it. How you chose that?
Uh,
You said
as I told you earlier that I didn't want the book to have a sad ending, so I wanted to give hope to people who are suffering from the disease that modern medicine is there, technology is there, you can survive the disease and live it a normal life. Because I remember one of my cousins in New York, I'm talking about somewhere in the 60s, he developed a kidney failure, and then his wife donated the kidney to him. He lived for 30 years after transplant.
that's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's amazing.
it is it is. In real life, Usha's kidney problems turn everything upside down for you. I'm interested
Yes,
in one
yes.
particular aspect. From being a passionate, committed journalist
Yeah,
with limited salary, you had to change over to something most journalists scoff at people, old vintage like us, public relations.
yeah.
How was that transition for you as a professional journalist to go on the other side? How did you navigate it? Did it affect your self worth in any way at all?
Yeah, it was to confess, it was a very traumatic experience because in journalism, the editorial rooms at 5 o'clock in the evening, the guy who breaks the news is the hero of the day. So there is no hierarchy in journalism, at least in the editorial meetings. So
Correct.
even the junior most reporter who broke the news is the hero of the day. That's not so in the corporate circle. So when I joined the corporate, first I joined. Burson and Marsteller, which is a New York-based company. Joined the Delhi branch, and I was given a very heavy portfolio because the boss trusted me that I could deliver. So Tata Motors were fighting a battle against the environmentalists, and I had to tell people that diesel is not bad for you. Short of saying that you can drink diesel from a cup of tea and nothing will happen to you. That's the kind of bluff I was telling the
Correct.
people all the time. The conscience was rebelling, saying what I'm doing is not good. But then I also had to satisfy my conscience and say, look, I need the money, so I don't care a damn for the for my conscience right now. I need the money to treat my wife. So it was a very traumatic experience at a personal level. And then submitting to hierarchy was another big problem. I want an absolute
Absolutely.
freedom to work, and the hierarchy would not give me a free hand to work. So it cramped my work style, and I brought out the journalist in me and rebelled and went directly to the bosses and said, "Give me a free hand to work." And they removed the head who was controlling me, and I got direct access to Tatas, and I was able to work freely.
I see. That's fascinating. I can imagine how stifled you must be feeling during the
Yes,
transition. Yeah,
yes, it was. It was, but it took me about 6 months to settle down to corporate hierarchy.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Just a by the way piece of information. You mentioned that the in the novel that Arushi is a sort of a polyglot, speaking Pashto, Bengali, Tamil, English, and
Yeah,
German. Was that
yeah, yeah.
true of Was that true of Usha too?
Usha was, she used to speak German, so part of that is true. But I borrowed it a little from my second wife. She's a polyglot, so she spoke about 7 European languages, including Russian, and then she could read and write about 7 European languages. So I
That's so.
combined the two ideas.
How come? How come was she professionally doing it, or she was just interested in languages?
No, 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 no. She was professional. She got a degree. I'm talking about my second wife. She is a degree holder in catering science from Bangalore. And then she found that all the cuisines are all written in French. She said, unless I learn French, there is no point in being a catering science specialist. So she got her master's degree in French, and then she got her MPhil in tourism and things like that. And then she said, then the hunger for learning other languages grew. Then the profession center. She was working also for a French company like me. Then they were dealing with Russians. So first she was a French translator because the medium of communication was French. So she used to sit at all the conference tables and translate in French to English, English to French. And then with the Russians, she used to do it with Russian, Russian to English, English to Russian. And my first wife, she knew German as a passion. She took it, but she was basically a clinical psychologist. So she knew how to handle her own crisis. She knew how to handle my mother. She knew how to handle me. And then she gave me full freedom. She gave me instructions on how to handle my mother and how to handle my child, which was very, very useful to me.
Indeed, indeed. I noticed that you've kept a lot of your chapters are rather short, which is good. Was that a
Yeah.
conscious choice, or it just happened that way?
No, no, no. It was a conscious effort, and if I wrote a long chapter, I would break it into two, so that the readers don't get bored by reading a long chapter. So they go. It should be a seamless flow of ideas and experiences, and then if broken into chapters, he can always stop at one chapter, go have a cup of tea, watch some TV, whatever, and then come back and read the book. That's the whole idea.
Tell me, by now, are you yourself sort of a kidney specialist?
Sort of. If anybody wants to consult me on renal diseases, I can tell you from step 1 to step 23 how to go about, how to navigate your personal life, how to handle your emotions, how to handle your family, how to handle your children. All that I can give a huge lecture. I have got a lot of gyan. I can do a
You know,
pravachan on that.
Speaking of which, your epilogue talks quite a bit about some of those details, right? I read the parts of
Yeah,
your
yeah,
epilogue
yeah,
too, where you give
yeah.
a lot of. Yeah.
Sorry, I
No.
wanted to bring a lot of drama. So actually, I'm not a surgeon, so I don't know how it. Now, this is where I found AI technology so useful that I would feed all the inputs I wanted to dramatize and tell AI, reconstruct a complete operation theater scenario, reconstructed completely an ICU melodrama. It was doing it beautifully for me. All I had to do was edit it and cut out whatever I thought was not necessary, which was too dramatized.
Right. In chapter 12, there is a rather interesting passage which brings alive your protagonist, or rather your personality type, quite well. And I'm going to read that little passage. It
Okay.
says, I held the empty box in my hands, marveling at the chain of human ingenuity that had led to this moment. The research, the manufacturing, the cold chain logistics that had brought these precious vials across continents and oceans to save my wife, unquote. Now, for a character in the midst of such a life threatening crisis, to think of this is quite revelatory to me. Is it you, or is it your character, or is it a combination of the two?
I think it's a combination of the two. And then sometimes, when you're depressed, a lot of ideas come out. And sometimes when I get up in the morning and have my cup of tea, so many ideas bristle in my mind for writing an article on that day. I should do this, I should do that. People have never written about this. So I would get down to it. And then when I was writing the book, all these ideas came to me seamlessly saying, let's put this idea into the book. Let's put this chapter. Let's put this text into the book to make it more interesting.
Right. How long did you actually take to write from start to finish? I'm not talking about the what preceded your struggles. I'm talking about the actual process of physical writing. How long did you take?
Physical writing, you see, I didn't have much to do in New York. See, in New Jersey, I and my son used to loaf around in the car. We used to go into the wild. So we had a lot of time for ourselves. In New York, it's a concrete jungle. It's difficult to go out. And then my son would go to office. My daughter-in-law would go to office. I was alone at home, either watching CNN or BBC, or I would be watching BBC, or I would be watching some television network. But that would be for an hour or so for drinking a cup of tea. But then I had 6, 7 hours how to kill it. So I had a lot of time for 6, 7 hours to sit and write at least 2, 3 chapters a day. That's what I was doing.
No, that's remarkable, because 2, 3 chapters a day is excellent speed. I mean, I do that too, but I'm very glad to know that you've done that too. It's this is the training of a journalist. This is the training
Yes,
of a
true.
journalist, and especially an agency
Absolutely.
journalist.
Yeah, you're bingo on the spot.
How is the book doing generally? Have you had any response yet? Have you heard from any readers so far?
No, I have a lot of I have a lot of people who have purchased the book in the US. Very surprisingly, my Corona book sold more in the US than in India. Same way, I find this book has sold. I have sold about 100 books so far, which is I think a big achievement for me as a debut fictional writer. But then
Right.
I want to reach at least 10,000 books before the year end, and I'm doing. It's we are all journalists. We are not a corporate guy to hire
No.
a PR company to promote our book. We have to promote it ourselves. So I'm doing my best to promote it across various channels, and
Right.
I was very successful in getting the book listed on Barnes and Noble, which I think is a big achievement for me. But then, how many people will actually go through the list and buy it is a $1 million question.
Indeed. That's why I thought it's important that fellow journalists should always reach out to others. I'm part of the reason why you reached out to me, but I was always very keen to have you at some point soon. And I'm glad
Mm.
that in whatever little way I can help through this platform. Speaking of which, why don't you tell my viewers where it's available and what kind of pricing are we talking about?
Oh, the book is listed on Barnes and Noble in the US, and then what? It is not a physical display of the book. So in Barnes and Noble, a lot of people want to know what are the upcoming books up for sale. So they go to the librarian or the bookstore manager and ask him what are the future books that are coming up. So there, I was surprised to find my book, Borrowed Time, Borrowed Hope by Mr. Ashok Nilakantan, on top of the upcoming Easter sale. So that would maybe out of 10 people who see it, at least two will buy it.
Right, right. And
And
the
then
usual channels
it's
like Amazon,
it
etc. It's available everywhere, right?
Yeah, it's available. I went through Notion Press and they have put it up. I paid money to the publisher. So they have put it on Amazon. It will be on Amazon India, Amazon UK. They have put it on the Indian online shopping center, Flipkart and Walmart. All of them are selling my books.